Chapter 19. The Law of Timing. When to lead is as important as what to do and where to go. The biblical example of this law is Esther. For a leader, timing is everything. There are certain windows of opportunity when, if you don't move forward, your effectiveness could come to a standstill. And there are other moments when, if you do move forward, you could permanently damage your ability to lead your people. But when leaders learn to do the right things at the right time, success is almost inevitable. People, principles, and processes converge to make an incredible impact, and the results touch not only the leader, but also the followers and the whole organization. I've always maintained that ultimately leaders are not successful unless other people want them to be. Esther was fortunate to have a mentor like Mordecai, who constantly reminded her of the law of timing. As a result, she learned to seize the opportune moments in her life and transformed a people on the verge of annihilation into the most respected in the land. Esther was born into a period of Jewish history when her people, the Jews, were in distress and had fallen away from God's commands. In short, they were in need of leadership. While a remnant of Jews had returned to Israel after 7 decades of captivity, many remained in the cities of their exile. Some were welcomed as valuable members of their communities, while others were despised. Esther's family had chosen to remain in Persia, the place where she would later be needed the most. At first, Esther probably didn't think too much of Queen Vashti's removal from the throne, or King Ahasuerus' empire-wide beauty contest to find a new queen. After all, she was an orphan, and like most of her people, she lived a very common existence. She had no reason to suspect she'd have a chance to win the contest, but soon she found herself in the king's palace, and with the advice of the king's eunuch and her cousin Mordecai, she took advantage of the opportunity and won the king's favor. Esther probably started to catch on to God's purpose for her when the king selected her as his next queen. In a short period of time, she had gone from an orphan commoner living in the land of her captivity to the highest position in the land for a woman. Fortunately, Esther was humble enough and discerning enough by the time that she was queen that she still listened to Mordecai's advice. Together, they had already decided to hold off on telling the king about her background, that she was an exiled Jew. But when Mordecai learned of Haman's plot to carry out a Jewish Holocaust, he knew that someone needed to act immediately on behalf of the Jewish people, and he knew that it had to be Esther, and her timely obedience saved thousands of lives. After the dust settled, Esther had discovered the value of timing in every decision. Despite her fears and inhibitions, she learned that when leaders have God on their side and continually strive to do the right thing at the precise time, success follows them everywhere. To be an effective leader, you must also take steps to acknowledge and overcome whatever keeps you from moving forward when opportunity knocks. Like Esther, you must learn that if you don't seize the moment, number one, your fate will be like that of the rest of the crowd. Sometimes it's easy to buy into the notion that we are special and won't have to take the risks that earlier generations have had to take. We feel we can maintain the status quo and God will do the rest to make sure that we accomplish the mission. But that notion is a myth. If we don't take risk, we can never expect to rise to the occasion. Mordecai reminded Esther that even though she was the queen, her future would be no better than that of the rest of the Jews if she didn't approach the king, even though the law prohibited her to enter his presence without his request. She trusted Mordecai's discernment and risked her life. And because the timing was right, she found the king's favor. Number 2, if you don't seize the moment, God will replace you with someone else to do the job. Esther was motivated by Mordecai's reminder that God's purposes would be accomplished even if she sat on the sidelines and watched. You see, when God is involved, it's not necessarily the giftedness of the leader that prompts God's blessings. It is often the leader's willingness to move when and where he indicates. It's only speculation, but it's likely that if Esther hadn't acted when and where she did, God would have removed her from the throne and put someone else there to save the Jews. Number 3, if you don't seize the moment, you could lose more than an opportunity. Mordecai reminded Esther that if she sat back and did nothing with the opportunity in front of her, she could lose more than a chance to do the right thing. She could lose her life. Although doing the right thing at the right time can sometimes require a big risk, in the long run, leaders incur a greater risk by not taking action. In leadership, the risk of failing is usually far less than the risk of missing an opportunity. Number 4, if you don't seize the moment, you could miss out on your mission in life. Eventually, Mordecai posed the ultimate question to Esther when he said, "Who knows but that you have come to a royal position for such a time as this?" He speculated that the opportunity before her might be the very reason that she was given her royal position in the first place. In other words, if she failed to follow through, she might miss out on God's entire purpose for her life. That same advice holds true for all leaders. You will never accomplish your mission, whether short-term or lifelong, by being idle. For some leaders, like Esther, fear of failure paralyzes them. For you, it may be something different. But regardless of what keeps you from pursuing an opportunity, you can overcome that hurdle only by making one timely decision after another. As you reflect on the law of timing and the story of Esther, know this. 1. Right timing makes a good decision a better decision. 2. When leaders fail to seize the moment, they undermine their leadership. 3. There is a right season for everything. And finally, number 4, good discernment precedes good decisions. Has your leadership displayed a pattern of missed opportunities? Do you often wish that you had done something after it's too late? If you do, you probably need to improve when it comes to the law of timing. As you prepare to turn off the tape, take the remaining minutes of your time to reflect on a timely opportunity that is currently before you and whether you could afford to not take advantage of it. If you want to learn more about Esther and the law of timing, read her story in the book of Esther.